Check this out. We're in for a treat. I was up buying some t-shirts. I didn't buy them yet, but they're selling this 60. Whoa. About that. Hey, I'm here with Tom Barrett. And he's got this 62 Corvette. And I had my Dan on Live shirt. We're at Famoso. And he said, hey, where'd you get that Dan on Live shirt? And I said, oh, I'm Dan on Live. And he says, oh, I watch all your YouTube videos. Well, not all of them, but I'm going to fib a little bit. And I said, wow, how cool is that? So he told me he was up here gonna race this Corvette over the weekend. He's in town from Bishop. He watches the Surf City Classics cruise night, and he put me on a golf cart and brought me down here to look at up close and personal the 62 Corvette. Maybe if I ask him nicely, he'll tell me a little bit more about it for our video. Tom, tell me about this Corvette, some of its history, and where you've been with it, and what you're doing, and what you're going to accomplish this week.
Well, I've owned this thing for 50 years. I bought it back when I was 19 years old. And I just got it running again last year. Sat for 38 years, waited for me. I knew I was going to do it. I brought it out here to Hot Rod Reunion last year and raced it, and came out here and this year doing the same. Been racing at different other places throughout the year. I've got about 60 runs on it so far, and about 500 street miles. And wow. It is a streetable car. Just running pump gas. There's no power adders to it. It's just strictly motor, but runs 1010s, 131 and a quarter.
Wow.
3,200 pounds with me in it. So that's pretty close to what stock was. It's a Art Morrison chassis, four-wheel Willwood disc brakes, strange rear end, 411 gears. The tranny's a 4L80E, but it's a manual transmission.
Real hot rod.
Only, yeah.
Pedals and gears.
Well, there is no clutch.
Oh, okay.
But you have to manually shift it.
All right.
It will not shift on its own. But it is set up. I got an overdrive gear, being a 4-speed. It's like a 90s transmission is what it is.
Okay.
Before the computer, so it will shift with a small computer, but this is set up just to shift manually. So on the highway, I can kick it into the overdrive, and I can actually lock up the converter and drops it another 200 RPM. So I can go down the highway at 60 miles an hour and only 2,200 RPM.
Oh, wow.
So even with the 400 or the 411 gears, it actually goes down the highway quite well.
You probably get about 20 miles a gallon too, huh?
Doing that? No, because the motor's got a lot of sucking power. It's a 505 cubic inch motor.
Wow.
555, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
555 cubic inch. It's a dart block, dart heads, and dart intake. And it's like I said, it's a pump gas motor. It's very forgiving as far as very low maintenance. And it does suck fuel. It takes almost a gallon per run is what it takes to do a quarter mile to make the complete circuit to come back. So.
And what's racing fuel cost these days?
Well, I'm not even running racing fuel.
Oh,
I'm just running 91 octane.
Oh, okay,
yeah, racing
wow.
fuel's a little over $12 a gallon here.
Yeah. Okay.
And up there where I live, up Big Pine Bishop area, there fuel is right around $4.69 a gallon. So for the 91 octane. So it's a little cheaper that way, but it is what it is, and it might run a little bit better number with racing fuel, but 1010 is just about as fast as I need to go.
Right.
Because if I drop into the 9s, that's a lot more certifications I got to get, and right now I'm comfortable where it is. So we got an 8-point roll cage that we built. It's completely garage built. built, painted, the whole shebang. Everything was done in the garage there in our house.
You said a rotisserie. You had it up
Yep,
on a rotisserie.
yeah, we put the chassis on rotisserie and did all the welding and everything. So everything was welded into the chassis. It's all NHR certified, just the way it needs to be. So everything's all up to snuff. So as far as the front end goes, I actually set that front end up, made it a lift off back in the 70s when I used to drag race it. Just made it easier to access to that big block Chevy.
Right.
And I've always run big blocks, so I'm a true believer of them. So I like them.
Now those headers, are they any special made headers? Or?
They are. We actually custom made those too. The fella that helped me build the 8-point roll cage in there, he helped me build these things too. Daniel, this is John. And
hey, John.
Linda, right here.
Linda, how you doing?
They have a A-gas car over here of a Corvette also.
Oh, cool. Wow. Huh?
I don't know if you folks know, this is Daniel. He's from Huntington Beach. He does a lot of different videos and that.
Oh, cool.
There, you can tune in and see this interview. Yeah. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's lucky he ran into Tom. He thought I hijacked a shirt from that guy Dano. He watched his videos. I said, "That's me. I'm Dano."
No, well, you got a great car to look at.
Yeah, well, I would agree there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he even brought me down in a golf cart, opened up the trailer, and brought the car out, started up and brought it out so we could do a piece.
All right.
Wow.
Excellent
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
Oops.
hey, you can ride this way.
Make sure you're not that quick on that light tomorrow.
Right.
You don't want a red light.
He is good.
I've already done that once.
Yeah.
Well, maybe during qualifying, but
All
get
right.
it out of your system.
Yeah, yeah. You're gonna screw up then, do it then. Yeah.
Who's the buddy, John?
Hey, I just bought some
All right.
for my first yard decoration when we moved to Lake Havasu.
There you go.
You don't have to water it. You don't have to feed it. You don't have to weed it.
Whoa.
Perfect,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah. And you don't have to feel sorry when you leave them at home and
Right,
go out
right,
to
right,
dinner.
Right.
right. Doesn't shed.
Yeah.
It doesn't
It's
shed.
not- you're not gonna cry, you're not gonna run away, yeah.
I bet he's housebroken.
Cool. All right. Good to meet you guys. Thank you. All right. All right, Tom, you got a real live trunk back here, California black plate. Born and raised in California.
That is the original black plate
That
from
is.
1970. That's not a repo or nothing.
No,
that's
that's
the
it.
original 1970. So we got a 15-gallon fuel cell there.
Okay.
We
And
got the battery and we got shut-offs in here. Those are just some of my old dash plaques from the 70s
Yeah.
from Orange County.
OCI.
Whenever, yeah, OCI.
Yeah.
I used to rent a car at Irwindale in Orange County. And this I ran always the Corvette meet. A lot of fun.
Did you have a chance to take it to the Lion?
You know, I never got to Lions. No, because that was always a far drive for us. I lived
Yeah.
in St. Gabriel Valley, and you know,
Right.
Lions. Why do I need to go that far?
Right,
you know?
yeah. You can do what you need to do up there, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. This is all the original chrome, all the original body and everything here in the back.
Wow.
But I've always had this as a hot rod, and most people comment on it that they like what I've done with it. Last 2 weeks ago, I was here racing, and I had one fella in the staging lanes, and I walked over to him. He says, "How many haters have you had?" I said, "Haters? What do you mean by that?" And he says, "Well, you know," and I said, "Wait a minute, you talked about purists?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "None." I said, "For one thing, I don't really care, you know, because it's my car, and I've always done with what I wanted to."
Right.
And most people, well, everybody's always come up and they say they like what I've done with it. So,
Yeah.
but the wheel wells here in the back, I 3-inch mini tubbed them,
Okay.
slid them down the middle, put 3 inches in there, slid them back, so it's still original. It gives it the original look and everything. But yeah, it's just kind of what worked out. And I had a lot of time to think about it. 38 years and knew
Yeah.
exactly what I was going to do.
Yeah.
Finally retired, had the time and a little bit of extra money, and was able to get it done. So
Yeah. I bet you judge that you hung on to it and never got rid of it.
that's it. That's it.
And like you said, your kids have grown up with it, so they don't know anything other than this car and
That's
what
right.
the other things you've done. Yeah.
The wheels, they're the Weld RTS, I believe they're called.
Beautiful.
And, they actually are SFI approved 15.1, made in the USA. So I kind of like showing that stuff.
Yeah.
stuff,
Oh
you know.
yeah. Yeah. Some of this stuff that comes out of from
Yeah.
overseas is junk, and it's all the original Speedo in there, and
That's original Speedo, yeah. And
Yeah.
it's set back to 0, and I did that way back in about 1980.
yeah.
and I still never hooked it up.
Right.
You know, and I go around and I just use my phone. I just got the GPS for it
Yeah.
now, so that's the easiest way.
Yeah.
Original dash cluster, original heater, center console in there, but since then I don't have the pull switches or anything to run the heater. I just got some lights in there for activating the fan and things like that. A fan, fuel pump, on and off switch.
Yeah. So yeah,
I've got the original seats. I reupholstered them. I set them in here, but I actually sit too high.
Okay.
Corvettes were actually set up for pretty short people. I'm 5'9".
Yeah.
And anybody 6 foot has a hard time being in there.
Right.
And when I put the original seat back in with the cage and all, it sat me too high. That's why I had to go with the racing buckets and I put it down on the ground,
Okay.
nice down low. But in this seat here, I've actually made it so it's adjustable. And my kids race my other car, a 70 Nova.
Uh-huh.
And it's a little 12-second car, and I know where they want to get in here, but I'm not ready to give it up yet.
Yeah.
So I made the seat adjustable. One was my daughter, and she's 5'5", so my son's same height as me. He has no problem with it, but I set it up so that when they do get in here, then you know, it'll be ready for them. But most everything you're looking at here is original. It's the original roof, and I just redid it.
Yeah.
But that was a big chore, real big chore. The cage is kind of unique, building that 8-point cage. We actually can unbolt it, takes the roof off really easy, and as all Corvettes are. We can actually unbolt the cage and lift it out. So if I would ever want the cage in there again for whatever reason, which I don't feel that's going to happen, but
Right.
I could. So
Yeah, I noticed when you got in, it's a little tricky to get over the bar. You know,
It
so
is.
you're thin me, I'd have probably a hard time. I might be able to get in, but a really hard time getting out. Yeah.
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 I don't know if you've ever come across these kind of fire extinguishers before. They're called the Element.
I haven't seen it. I was
Yeah,
wondering
it's
what
called an Element. And I actually seen it featured on a Jay Leno show,
Okay.
and by a fella up in Canada.
Huh.
Yeah, he said they actually were invented for NASA, the chemical that they use, and a regular like 5-pound fire extinguisher, which is many times bigger than that, runs for like 8 to 10 seconds, I understand. This thing will run for 50 seconds,
Wow.
so almost a minute, and you can actually hold it in your hand and aim it where you want it.
Yeah.
It's ABC for all fires.
And
You can breathe it, you can hold it, you can aim it where it needs to be, and I figured a fiberglass car, fiberglass burns,
right.
so I figured I need to have something like that. So
Yeah, and it's you don't have much area to put a regular fire extinguisher in, so that fits perfectly.
absolutely, yeah.
First I thought maybe it was like a flashlight when I saw the green bottom to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, fire extinguisher.
You
Cool.
kind of advertise me, you can just take and throw them in your glove box type of thing.
Yeah.
But my glove box, these are on the center waterfalls, which is stock.
Right.
And I'd have to put in there. It's a little bit hard for me to reach. If I got my harness on this way here, I can still grab it when I'm still locked in that 5-point. So it actually works out pretty darn good. So, and I did go with power steering on it. I had to fabricate all the brackets myself. And this, the motor is actually sitting on the original small block mounts, so it fits in nicely there. But everything is so big, it just took a lot of work to fabricate mounts and everything for it. And we got a Borgeson style joints going down here on the steering, rack and pinion. It's a DSI rack and pinion. The radiators for 55 Chevrolet with a couple 13-inch small fans on it, supposed to cool down 1,000 horsepower. So I figured, oh, cool line. It does seem to do real well. And I don't think I've ever seen it up over 210. So it always brings it down from there.
And what kind of carb are we running there?
That's a 830 quick fuel.
Okay.
And then down below there, I've actually got an ET Genie.
Yeah.
And that's like a carburetor reduction plate. And so it actually slows the car down and makes it run consistent, because I like running D-gas. And D-gas is a 1060 index. And this car, full out, will run a 1010, 1008 is what it's around here.
Yeah.
So this way here, I can actually dial it right down and keep it running right on that number, depending on where the air temperature is and all that. The density of the air affects how the motors run and everything, and the heat on the track. I'm running radial tires on this thing.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, and with radial tires, they're not like your a bias tire where you can really smoke them. These you got to be careful because they will get mushy, but you can still run a lot of air pressure. which is safer on the top end and more consistent.
With these conditions, the sun and winds blowing and the heat, is there any setup, different setup you have to do than normally running it on a typical California summer day?
Actually, with this car, no, it doesn't have any effect on the wind. I've never seen anything. I mean, I haven't been in any huge winds, but you know, the little light breeze we get, I haven't had any problem with that. Nothing at all. This chassis being what they call Art Morrison GT Sport chassis. Morrison actually developed a chassis for his own Corvette.
Right.
So he's got his jig up there in Fife, Washington, and he builds all the chassis on the same jig, so it's a carbon copy of his. And he actually sets it up as far as excellent braking, excellent cornering, excellent quarter-mile car. So it's triangulated 4-link in the back, so if I could start a drag racing, I could actually start doing for road racing with it, and that's why I went with the power steering. So, and it just, this thing at 130 feels like any other car at 60. It's just so nice and smooth. That chassis is everything. It's beautiful.
Now with all your power you have, you're not noticing any, it being sluggish with adding the power steering. It's not taking away any.
No, I've got extra power there. So originally when I built the car, I was wanting to go 10, so I was figuring I needed about 650 horsepower. And this one was dynoed that right at 700 horsepower and 700 torque. So, and it's built by a company called TriStar in Wisconsin. Transmission is built by Hughes over in Phoenix, Arizona. But I kind of believe in check out who you're going to purchase from, the manufacturers, and get some reviews on them. And so far, it's worked out well for me.
And as far as you know, all your research is that everything in this car is all made in USA.
That's what I try to keep it to. Yep. Keep us all working. Keep it in house. So to speak, I guess you might say. We got the old stainless on that they used to run back in the 60s and the 50s, and actually I put that on way back in the 70s when I used to run it back then. But and it just kind of hides the old fiberglass firewall that they had, and just gives it another nostalgic look. So.
I like
wipers. Wipers are still all connected. I just don't run the motor in it because the cars never go see water. It's still kind of neat. It's still got the old 1930s style air conditioning. The flip on the collar there. So this was the last year, of course, that ever had that. C3, of course, that was all gone. But I did used to run back in the 70s original chassis that they didn't have ball joints. They had kingpins in the front, like the 1954 Chevys, and they didn't have needle bearing ball joints, or rather needle bearings, wheel bearings. It had ball bearings. And those things are notorious for wandering in that. But you know what? I still used to run 120 in the quarter-mile back then. But you know, you did what you could back then. Everything was concentrated on speed. So
when did you go with the Willwood brakes opposed to the factory brakes? Is this something that's you had on there for a long time?
No, just when we did the car. I built the car. I started restoring the car when I ordered the chassis in January of 2016. And by January of 2018, it was on the road just the way you see it. So 2 years is what it took to do this, and was all done in our garage, my own garage. And my buddy, who's also the racer over here, his car is an El Camino. It's underneath the cover down there on the left. They got a purple over there, but and he's from Bishop. He's an excellent fabricated welder, and he's the one that comes up and helped me do all the welding and fabricated all the headers and the roll cage, and excellent. So couldn't have done it without his help, you know, to come out with this quality. So, but it's been a really fun toy, and you know, I don't want to say I'm looking for something else, but I wouldn't mind doing something else. It's been a lot of fun, but this car's never going anyplace. My 3 kids are named after it, so this is it. So I know it's going to stay in the family for probably forever.
And run by their names again?
Okay, yeah. I actually own this. I bought this car when I was 19, and I met my wife in 73. Well, we got married about a year later. Another year later, then she got pregnant, and she came up with an idea that Corvette would be a neat name for a child. And I said, well, I wouldn't want to name the first name for a child as Corvette, you know. So we thought, okay, maybe middle name. Well, as it turned out, she had a girl. So, well, get her hang on to that Corvette name, and we gave her another middle name, and she's Chevette. So we got a Robin Chevette. 2 years later, she got pregnant again, another girl. We got a Linda Chevelle. And like 6 years later, we got a son came along, and he's Kyle Corvette. So he's actually named after this car, and he's actually got the tattoo on the side of his ankle.
Really?
Of the 1984 Corvette. That's the year he was born.
Right.
Like this is the original 62 emblem.
Right.
He's got the 84, and he always told me, Dad, you need to get that one. I said, I'm not into tattoos. So, but, you know, some people are, and so be it. But you know, God didn't put any on me. At least know that. So I'm just staying with what I am. But,
well, that's a pretty good year to be born, 84, because they skipped the 83 car.
They did, yes, yes.
And then that was another generation. I forget what the generation number was. I had towards the end of that generation, I had a 90 Corvette.
Yes.
So I think that was maybe it was a C5 or C4. Can't remember now.
C5 actually ran from, I believe it was 96 to very early 2000, and that's actually what this front suspension is copied after. The C5 Corvette.
Okay, it must have been a C4 then, I guess.
Okay, yeah. But it's been a lot of fun. A lot of fun. So,
it's good that you've hung on to it, and you've gone through and you've put it in this condition, and you're enjoying it now, taking it around the strips. And as you mentioned earlier, you're at the Hot Rod Reunion, 70th in Alberta Hot Rod Reunion.
Yes, I was there.
That was good, yeah.
Very good. I had a great time there. I got 5 runs over there, and they were all some of the best runs I ever had.
Yeah.
And then we used to live about 15 minutes from the Winter Nationals track in Pomona.
Right.
And we lived down there for a while. Lived down there for over 40 years.
Yeah.
We could hear the racing going on.
Yeah.
So we used to always go through the years. But I didn't have a card going. This thing was just waiting in the weeds, you know, in the wings. So I always knew I was going to get it going. But it's just been a lot of fun. But the biggest reason I had to do it was we were coming out here to the Hot Rod Reunion in Pomona and just, you know, cruising around in that, and just never seen race cars in the original shape like this anymore.
No.
Back in the 70s, they were just like any other car.
Right.
You know, but nowadays you don't see them anymore, and I knew I had to do it, so it's been a fun project. So.
Well, I just hope the younger generation, younger than your kids, take these cars and move them forward.
Yes.
And you know, stay out of that tuner car stuff and keep this nostalgia stuff going.
That's right. Yep. Yeah.
I mean, we're quite lucky to be born during this era, because there's not a I don't foresee another era coming like that.
No, not the muscle car era. That'll never come around again. I mean, they've got some ultimate muscle cars out there right now, you know, but they're just still not quite the same.
Right.
You know, and it's they're all power. They're unbelievable. But this thing will hold their own, you know, on the stock ones with their superchargers and that, you know, on the track. But you know, those things are just so turnkey. They're just so nice. It's beautiful. But,
well, cool. Tom, thanks very much.
Oh, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, I'm glad I wore the shirt. I walked out of the car and I said, okay, maybe I'll put a shirt on, because I'm kind of like sneaking in the back gate. And I put my little media thing on here. I said, okay, well, maybe I can just get by without having, I didn't see anybody in the ticket booth anyway.
Yeah.
And so it worked. And you know, I would have just been a guy up there buying a t-shirt and you would have not known. So,
that's right.
And the audience would have not heard all about you in this car. So very grateful that I wore it.
Well, I'm more than happy to show it to you guys.
Cool.
So I'm enjoying this car, and you know, enjoying anybody who wants to come out and watch it run. So.
I hope to see it run tomorrow. I'm only going to spend a half a day in the morning, so I hope I go off then and I can get some still shots of it and get it running down the track. So you don't have any idea what timeline they're going to line up, do you?
Yeah, I got a schedule there, and I believe they start with exhibition. That's at 8 o'clock, and Hot Rod follows exhibition. So I'm thinking it'll probably be somewhere around the 8:30 hour.
Okay.
That'll be the first run.
I'll get up early and get out here.
There we go. Yeah.
All right. There you have it.
Yeah.
62 Corvette, Tom Bear on Danovision, Dano Live, and that's Tom. Thanks again, Tom. Appreciate it. How about that? There you have it. Windows are rolling up. It's in its container. It's ready to go night-night. It's all ready to run the strip tomorrow. And that is Tom crawling out of the driver door. And hope you enjoy the piece. And that is Tom Bayer, like a Bayer Astron, B-A-Y-E-R. Thanks again, Tom, for spending time with Dano, Dano Vision, Dano Live. How about that? Say goodnight.
Coming over and enjoying my little toy.
All right, yeah. Cool.